Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a supernatural horror film named Howling Village. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The story begins at the Inunaki tunnel, which has been considered to be haunted due to a number of murder cases connected to the place. Originally, there was an old Inunaki village in this area, and the word Inunaki refers to the howling of dogs. The village residents were poor and relied on hunting wild dogs for survival, causing the village to be cursed. Outsiders gave them the nickname the Dog Butcher. It's said that after a dam was built in that area, the village disappeared mysteriously, and rumors began to circulate that if someone waits on the bridge in front of the tunnel at 2 a.m., he will receive a call from Inunaki village. Upon hearing this legend, a girl named Yuko immediately dragged her boyfriend, Yuma, to the bridge to wait for the call. However, when it struck 2 a.m., their cell phone did not ring, but a public telephone on the bridge did. To verify the legend, Yuko answered the phone without hesitation, but the voice on the other end was different from what she expected. The voice seems to tell her to go somewhere, and Yuko said she would go there. So the two entered the tunnel and recorded their journey. Soon, they found themselves entering the disappeared Inunaki village. Inside, they found broken-down dog cages and a sign for the electric company that had built the dam. Finally, Yuko discovered a small shack and went inside to use the restroom. However, many people suddenly surrounded the shack, banging on the door and grabbing Yuko's hands through the window. The two fled in terror, but Yuko was left traumatized after the incident, drawing many eerie pictures of people drowning. Yuma had two siblings, his sister and younger brother. The sister is a psychiatrist and has psychic abilities. One day, she just finished consulting a young patient named Sick Boy. He said his dead mother had something confidential to tell, which he could not reveal, or else his mother would be sad. Before leaving, Sick Boy waved to Sister, who turned her head and saw a ghost of a woman standing beside her. That means the ghost is Sick Boy's birth mother. In fact, Sick Boy did not have any mental problems. He was just like Sister, with psychic abilities. Now Yuko also behaves abnormally, and Yuma wants to ask his sister for help. The three siblings talked about the incident of the Inunaki tunnel. Unexpectedly, their father heard and scolded them. He even rebuked their mother, saying that they all had shady blood like her. Finally, Yuma and Sister went into the house to see Yuko. She said many inexplicable things and insisted that she was okay. Then, she went out barefoot and left marks while walking and singing a strange song. Brother noticed that something was wrong and asked his siblings to find someone. But when they went out, Yuko had already disappeared. Yuma searched for her and found her under a power tower. Just when he was wondering, Yuko suddenly fell from the tower in front of him and died. It almost scared Yuma to death. At the funeral, Yuko's parents were crying so much that it was heart-wrenching. However, an old corner in the crowd looked serious. Afterward, he found Yuma's father and told him that the autopsy results showed that Yuko drowned. That means she had already drowned before she jumped from the tower. The two expressed that there were many similar incidents during the old days, but people now hardly know about them. Finally, the coroner warned Yuma's father that his daughter is more sensitive and he should be careful of that. Then, the coroner turned and left, passing by Sister, who suddenly heard a voice in her ear saying, "The Dog Butcher," and it frightened her. After the funeral, Yuma couldn't accept the death of his lover and went to the tunnel with a few friends, hoping to find Yuko's soul. Brother was also interested in the legend and secretly followed them. However, the entrance to the tunnel was sealed with a stone wall, and the eerie atmosphere made them all hesitant. In the end, Yuma had to enter alone. Not long after, Brother followed him, and Yuma warned him not to come in. However, before he could finish, Brother inexplicably fell in from the stone wall. Yuma went to help him, but instead, he grabbed a ghostly hand. Brother was caught by the ghost of Yuko, and many ghosts appeared, singing the song that Yuko had sung before her death. Apparently, these ghosts were the villagers of Inunaki village. In the end, neither of the brothers could escape. Losing two children at once, Yuma's mother broke down and insisted on entering the tunnel to find her sons. Everyone tried to stop her, but she suddenly began to howl like a wild dog, biting Yuma's father and injuring him. After she regained her composure, she made a bestial gesture of wiping her mouth, which made everyone present shudder. Just then, Sister saw a figure appear on the stone wall, but when she turned to look, the figure had disappeared. As the sky darkened, the people who had come to look for them went back home one by one, except for one of Yuma's friends, whose motorcycle had broken down on the bridge. With no signal on his phone, he had to go to the telephone booth to make a call for help. After a while, Yuma's other two friends came to pick him up, but when they arrived, they found only his motorcycle and no sign of him. Suddenly, the public phone rang, and the two answered to hear the voice of their friend. However, what he said was exactly the same as when he had asked for their help before. Then, the phone began repeating this message over and over again. The two friends realized that something was off, but then the phone stopped ringing and the door to the booth slammed shut. The same song started to play, and water began to pour into the booth. They banged on the door, but it was no use. Mud handprints appeared on the booth, and they realized they were surrounded by ghosts. The water level rose rapidly, and they soon ran out of breath. The ghosts then left, and the two friends were left lifeless in the booth. On the other side, Sister came back to the hospital to work the night shift, but unexpectedly, the previous coroner died from drowning and was sent to the hospital. Sister didn't think much of it and continued to accompany Sick Boy as usual. However, she fell asleep in the late night, and Sick Boy seemed to have heard something and ran out. She noticed and followed him, only to find Sick Boy standing at the door of the coroner's room, saying that the old man inside was calling him. As mentioned earlier, Sick Boy has psychic abilities, so he probably saw something. Sister carefully listened to his words and heard the song from Inunaki village coming from the room. As she approached, she saw people moving around in the room where there should have been no one. Sister mustered up the courage to enter and found only the coroner inside. He grabbed her and repeatedly said that water was coming and she should run away. His voice became weaker as if he had drowned. Sister looked up and saw the room was packed with ghosts, so she grabbed Sick Boy and ran away. But they were eventually trapped in a corner by the ghosts. However, at the critical moment, Sister woke up suddenly. It turned out to be a dream. Just as Sister caught her breath, the quilt in front of her slowly rose, and an old ghost crawled out, telling her that it's all because she has the blood of the dog butcher in her body. As soon as the words fell, Sister and Sick Boy woke up at the same time. It was a dream within a dream. However, a colleague came over and told Sister that the coroner had passed away. It seemed that everything that happened just now was not entirely a dream. The next day, the police found that Yuma's three friends had all died in a telephone booth, and their bodies had traces of being soaked in water. Now the brothers are missing, their mother has gone crazy, and even the people around them have been affected. Sister was very worried, and she thought of the ghost's words in her dream yesterday. She couldn't help but suspect her own identity, because her father always said that her mother's bloodline was not good. To figure out the truth, Sister immediately rushed to her grandparents' house near the dam. She was close to her grandmother in her childhood, who had passed down the psychic ability to her. In the past, the two once saw a ghost with a hat near their home, and from his clothing, he was the same ghost flashed by the stone wall of the tunnel after Yuma's disappearance. It seems that this hatted man is not only related to Inunaki village, but also has been following Sister all along. Now that her grandmother has passed away, Sister can only learn about her family history from her grandfather. It turns out that her grandmother was actually an abandoned baby who was left at her grandfather's doorstep by someone from the Inunaki village. The baby grew up later and married her grandfather. This means that her grandmother is likely to be a descendant of the Inunaki village who was cursed. Sister sat near the dam, lost in thought, and unexpectedly met the mysterious hatted man again. Surprisingly, he had a physical presence, and he muttered to himself that people always covered up the ugliness. Sister was confused and asked for the truth. The hatted man showed her an old video recording of the construction of the dam, which was the only record that existed about Inunaki village. It turns out the hatted man was an employee of the power company that came to build the dam at the time. He fell in love with a beautiful girl named Maya from the village, and later the girl was revealed to be pregnant with the man's child. However, the power company had no intention of compensating the villagers for relocation, and instead resorted to violent suppression. They locked up all the villagers, and even spread rumors that people from Inunaki village gave birth to half-human, half-dog offspring. That night, when the dam was completed, the village was flooded, and all the villagers drowned. This was the truth about the disappearance of Inunaki village. Sister was stunned as she watched the faces on the recording, realizing that the boss of the power company at the time was her grandfather's grandfather. This means that Sister not only has the bloodline of Inunaki village, but also the bloodline of its enemies. This explains what the hatted man said previously is actually referring to the fact that her grandfather had not told her the truth. Sister was confused and drove back. As she passed by the cursed telephone booth, the ghost of her 3 dead friends started to chase her. Terrified, she stepped on the gas and saw the ghost of Yuko repeatedly jumping off the electric tower up ahead. As Sister drove towards the tower, a bicycle suddenly hit her car. She hit the brakes hard and stopped. When she started again, she found 4 ghosts sitting in her car, staring at her. Fortunately, she managed to get home safely, only to find out that their house had been vandalized with insulting words. Her mother had also become a dog-like creature, constantly singing the same song. Seeing her parents in such pain, Sister decided to do something. She remembered that her younger brother had always been interested in the legends of Inunaki Village and had even made a model of it. Sister went to check his research and the exploration video left by Yuko and learned about the legend of the phone booth in the mysterious tunnel. Since they could receive calls from the village, they might be able to find their missing brothers. Before 2 o'clock, Sister set off and, as expected, she received a call from her 2 brothers who were trapped and needed help. Sister hesitated, not knowing if this was a trap, but still went to the tunnel entrance. Unexpectedly, the hatted man appeared again and offered to help her rescue the others. But he also asked her to do him a favor. Under his guidance, Sister entered Inunaki Village. There, she saw villagers lying on the ground, knocked down by the power company, and the wild dogs that they had hunted were now eating their corpses. Yuma and her younger brother were locked up in a dog cage, but were otherwise unharmed. Following the hatted man, Sister arrived at the attic, where a big dog was snoring like a man. Next to it, the pregnant Maya had just given birth to a baby girl, the last surviving descendant of Inunaki Village. This was the child that the hatted man wanted to entrust to Sister. Sister took the baby and fled away with her brothers. But when they got to the tunnel, Maya became frightened and refused to leave her child. The blood curse awakened her dog-like nature, and she began to chase and attack them. Just then, Yuma saw Yuko's ghost among the villagers. He watched as Maya was about to attack several people, but the hatted man quickly rushed up and stopped her vengeance. However, even after transforming into a dog, Maya was still too strong. In the end, Yuma decided to sacrifice himself and entangled Maya together with the hatted man, allowing his 2 siblings to escape for their lives. The 2 siblings finally escaped from the tunnel in time and ran all the way to their grandfather's yard. Due to the shock and exhaustion, they collapsed on the ground as soon as they entered the yard and fell asleep. However, Sister and her brother returned to their grandfather's house in the present, while the baby girl she had rescued ended up in the past. When their young grandfather came to the yard, he found an abandoned baby left at their doorstep. It turns out that the baby girl Sister rescued was actually their own grandmother. The hatted man and Maya were their great-grandfather and great-grandmother, respectively. In the end, the police retrieved Yuma's corpse from the dam. Strangely, his body was entangled with 2 corpses. Sister recognized them as her great-grandparents, who had been entangled with Yuma the night before. The family gave them a burial, and everything seemed to be over. After the incident, Yuma's mother's mental state improved, and Sick Boy was also about to be discharged from the hospital. Before leaving, he told Sister that his dead mom told him to ask her for help. Sister did not understand this message. After she got up and left, the camera zoomed in to show Sick Boy's pupils change, suggesting that he was also a descendant of the Inunaki Village. Immediately, Sister remembered the song from Inunaki Village and made the same gesture of wiping her mouth. This means that after experiencing these events, her bloodline curse has also awakened, which would urge her to save those still trapped in that dimension. What Sick Boy said at last likely implies that there are other descendants of the Inunaki Village who are still wandering as trapped ghosts. Here, we need to clarify some points in order to better understand the story. The village should have been submerged by the dam on the night it was completed and no longer exists. Therefore, when Yuko, Yuma, and later Sister received the phone calls, they were from the people inside the village before it was submerged, asking for help. When they reached the other end of the tunnel, they crossed over and returned to Inunaki Village, just before it was destroyed. If they had not escaped in time, they would have been submerged along with the village and drowned. When Yuko first entered Inunaki Village, the villagers captured her, and her soul was left in the village. Therefore, she eventually died from drowning and was not a human anymore. This was confirmed when Yuma returned to the tunnel and saw Yuko's ghost. But unfortunately, Yuma lost the opportunity to escape in order to stop his great-grandmother, Maya. In the end, he drowned in the dam. this Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.